At approximately 9:54, 16 a.m., Austin Metcalf arrives to the yellow tent. So remember, Austin and Hunter get to the tent at 9:54. Carmelo gets to the tent at 9:56. 9:54, 9:56, 10 a.m., Austin Metcalf is stabbed in his chest. We're talking 4 minutes, folks. At 9:56, 14 a.m., the left side, field of view, Carmelo Anthony enters the tent from the left, according to the video that we were shown in the court. 4 minutes later, by 9:58 a.m., you see sudden movements in the video. At 10 a.m., kids are running and screaming. Well, we can't hear it, right? But we can imagine that they're screaming and yelling. You just see mayhem at 10 a.m. 9:56, Carmelo enters the tent. 9:58, you see movement. 10 a.m., the kids are running. At 10 a.m. 48, you see the first quick movement in the video. Austin Metcalf visibly pushes Carmelo Anthony. You can see that. 10 a.m., Carmelo Anthony is seen moving above the tent, seen running down the bleachers, and then he falls. He slips and falls. He stands up, he runs, and then he slows down and he walks. Then you start to see kids chasing him and pointing at him. Exhibit number 7, 9:50 a.m. Two groups of individuals are walking. Why is 9:50? So the state introduced exhibit number 7 to say, you see the twins enter the video at 9:50, and 12 minutes later, Austin Metcalf is dead. At 10:05, 36 a.m., the police vehicle is seen in the video. Carmelo Anthony has been detained. Got it? I'm giving you facts, not my opinion. All right.
I want to show you this because people are saying this Sarah Fields lady is saying that no one is giving facts, right? This is what she put in her thing, right? It's incredibly satisfying, though also emotional, to sit in this trial and watch the footage and witness testimony confirm what my reporting and investigative work has shown over the last year. Based on what has been presented in court so far, everything I reported was affirmed. What is even more disturbing is that as the truth comes out, many Carmelo Anthony supporters continue repeating the same false narratives. No matter what is shown in court, they simply repeat what they have been told like parrots. There's no critical thinking, no independent analysis, just the same talking points over and over again, even when the evidence fails to support them. Now, this is not just happening for these so-called Carmelo Anthony. Listen, just so you know, Sarah Field, if you're black, you're a Carmelo Anthony supporter just off rip. But I'm playing an independent reporter, a content creator from YouTube that is just giving the facts of the case without bias. So I just want to make that be plain for anyone that has any question on what I'm doing here. Let's go.
All right. Now we get into the afternoon. This is a continuation of direct examination by the government. Exhibit number 10 is entered. This is a zoomed in version. We were not allowed to watch this. This is what I believe to be the fatal blow of Austin Metcalf. Only the jury were shown the video. They had a big screen TV that they can roll in and out, and they turned it toward the jurors. We were not allowed to watch it or see it. It was 2 segments, according to the government, of Carmelo Anthony walking in and out, but they focused on the second segment. The jury during this time was very attentive. The older white lady that I named Miss Barbara was very interested in the video, very interested. The younger white male that looks like he can be a high school student that plays football, he leaned all the way in forward. What does this mean from a body language perspective? He's invested. He cares. He wants to know the details. He wants to see it. And when I tell you, I took notes, I said, he's paying close attention. He's honed in. It's almost like he was in a trance. He never broke his focus. As the video continued to play, which we were not allowed to review, the looks, the faces of the jurors changed from interest to looks of concern, furrowed brows. Another white woman on the far end of the jury begin to frown. They introduce shots, screenshots or exhibits 13 through 19, which were still shots from the video that were created by the forensic digital expert, Mr. Mike Porter, and it captured people pointing in the direction of Carmelo Anthony. The total video from start to finish was 15 minutes and 21 seconds. At this point, I turn to look at the defense table, and I can see Mike Howard in what I perceive to be somewhat reassuring Carmelo Anthony, and he kind of pats his shoulder. At this point, it's now the defense. It's their time. So watch this. Now I can give you my opinion. At this point, the state rests and they pass the witness to the defense. Here's what's going through my mind. You're in trouble. So then the defense cross-examines Mr. Mike Porter, and the defense begins to attack the video. And the point they make is that the video is so grainy that it doesn't paint the full picture. You can't see hands, you can't see gestures, you can't see movements of the mouth. And the primary argument from the defense is this video is your main piece of evidence, but it's limited. Is that correct? Mr. Porter testified, yes, that is correct. He says, you can't detect full hand movements. Correct? Yes. You can't detect full head movements. Correct? Correct. You can't detect full gestures. Correct? Correct. So therefore, without saying it this way, I'm paraphrasing, it is left up to interpretation and not facts. And then I thought, oh, well, maybe they got something to work with. So then look, some of us where I was seated, now the audience perks up and say, whoa, we never considered that. They introduce exhibit number 12. This is the Metcalf boys entering, walking into the stands. The defense asks the forensic specialist, does it appear to be raining? Yes. That question, in my opinion, gives credence to why Carmelo Anthony may have also entered the tent in addition to going over there to talk to a friend. The forensic expert testified that there was a possibility that it could have been raining when Carmelo Anthony entered the tent, but because of the graininess of the photo and because he zoomed in the pixels, and when you ask the pixels to cover a bigger span of the picture is not as clear. So he wasn't able to confirm nor deny that when Carmelo Anthony entered the tent, that it was or was not raining. The defense says, can you testify to the jury that the bleacher seat Carmelo may have sat on is covered by the tent? The forensic specialist says, no, I cannot testify to the jury that the bleacher seat may have been covered by the tent. At this point, I made a note. I said, where are they going with this? It's a possibility that Carmelo Anthony sat outside the tent on the next bleacher up. And at this point, I said, oh, the defense is getting into the granular details. I looked at Carmelo Anthony. At this time, he was locked in. His head was turned. His head was turned to the left, listening intently, and he was also taking notes. Grumpy, the juror, did not appear to like this line of questioning. His arms were folded. He had a very cross look, and he was visibly at first I wrote irritated, and then I scratched it out because I said that's kind of judgmental. I don't want to use that word. But then I changed it to visibly impatient. He took a lot of sighs, a lot of deep exhales, and his lips were very like when you press your lips together. I said, uh-oh, they don't like this. The defense cross-examined about who was standing versus who was sitting. He says, can you visibly see Austin Metcalf standing and shoving Carmelo Anthony? The expert testified, yes. He said, but you never see Carmelo Anthony transition from being seated to standing. He said, that's correct. So the juror, there was a juror that when the expert would talk, he would be nodding his head yes. That's one of the jurors that I counted as one of the 6 that I don't feel was happy with the defense. So then the defense said, would you classify what you saw on camera from Austin Metcalf to Carmelo Anthony as a violent shove, being that you saw it from so far away? Let me tell you what I'm talking about. The camera surveillance that the court is relying on was far away. They had to zoom in. So what the defense is saying, if you can definitely depict that a physical altercation was going on, would you classify that as a violent shove? The expert says no, I would not classify that as violent.